You are walking through a vast cityscape. Towering glass structures glint under a cold sun. Crowds flow around you like rivers with no memory of their source. Every billboard screams a different demand. Be faster, be smarter, be richer, be perfect. Somewhere, a child scrolls endlessly through a glowing screen, comparing themselves to millions they will never meet. Elsewhere, a man sits alone in his apartment, surrounded by a dozen purchased comforts, feeling an emptiness he cannot name. There is no predator chasing you, no famine stalking your body, no external catastrophe on your doorstep, and yet your heart races as if the wolves are at the door. How did we arrive here? In the safest, most abundant age in human history, why do we tremble inside like hunted animals? An invisible hand seems to pull the strings behind our thoughts, feeding us a steady diet of tension, dissatisfaction, and fear. A world without war still breeds soldiers of the mind, always fighting battles against themselves, always on edge, always unsure if they are enough. Have you noticed it? That low humming anxiety that never fully quiets even in your best moments, that gnawing voice that whispers, "You're falling behind, you're not good enough, you should be worried." It is a presence that never sleeps, a parasite cleverly disguised as progress, ambition, belonging. It wears many masks: the pressure to achieve, the fear of missing out, the endless race for validation. It mutates with every new technology, every cultural shift, every shiny new promise of fulfillment just out of reach. You think you're chasing happiness, but what if you are merely obeying a silent architecture designed to keep you restless? What if anxiety isn't a flaw in the system? What if it is the system? If an entire society profits from your discontent, would it ever truly want you to be at peace? An ancient mind evolved to survive lions and lightning now stands overwhelmed by a jungle of flashing notifications, relentless comparisons, curated personas, and existential uncertainties. You are drowning in abundance, yet starving for meaning. What is it about this world, this modern, glittering machine, that manufactures such delicate, persistent suffering? What machinery churns silently beneath the surface, weaving worry into your very identity? You weren't born afraid, you were taught to be. Each day, bit by bit, modern life chisels away at the ancient parts of you that knew how to simply be, replacing them with the constant demand to become more, faster, louder, better. But here is the deeper question gnawing at the edges of awareness. If the structures around you, education, media, culture, economy, feed on your unease, can you ever truly find peace within the system? Or must peace in its truest form come only through rebellion? As you stand in the shimmering cities of progress, with the hum of ambition filling the air, you must ask yourself, is this anxiety truly yours, or was it engineered into you piece by piece, until you forgot what it meant to live without fear? The mind aches for something real, something untainted by the machinery of production, the theater of success, the illusion of more. And yet, the harder you run toward peace, the more distant it seems to become. A cruel paradox. The pursuit of freedom becomes the very trap that tightens its grip. You sense it, don't you? That something is deeply wrong beneath the polished surface of modern life. That somewhere, somehow, you have been quietly stolen from yourself. The answer lies not on the surface, but deep within the hidden roots of modern anxiety. The places few dare to look, where psychology, all the progress and comforts around you. Something vital has gone missing. You look at the world around you, a place brimming with technology, abundance, and freedom, but still, a sense of unease settles over your chest. You realize, deep down, that you are no longer connected to something real. You feel like an actor in a play that you didn't sign up for, reciting lines you don't fully understand. What if the problem isn't just in the chaos of your life? What if the very structures that define modern society, the systems you were raised within, are intentionally built to make you feel incomplete? Think back to the early days of civilization. Survival was a tangible thing. Hunting, gathering, living in harmony with the cycles of nature. But the psyche too was different. It was rooted in something concrete, something immediate. Now fast forward to today. We no longer face the direct dangers of nature or war. We are surrounded by conveniences. Our basic needs are met. And yet we are faced with anxiety that seems to rise from the depths of our own minds. But why? The roots of this anxiety go deep, far deeper than we often realize. They lie in the very foundation of modern society, which, in its evolution, has turned survival into something far more abstract. Let's explore these roots. Carl Jung, the famous Swiss psychiatrist, argued that modern individuals have lost touch with their deeper selves. The unconscious mind. The unconscious, he claimed, is a treasure trove of wisdom and power, but it's buried beneath the surface, and our modern way of life has paved over it with layers of distractions, demands, and false promises. Jung's idea of the shadow speaks directly to this loss. The shadow, he believed, is the part of the psyche that contains everything we suppress, our unwanted traits, our fears, our desires that don't fit into the image society wants us to portray. But what happens when the shadow is ignored, when we fail to confront it? We build facades to cover it, pretending to be something we are not, striving for ideals that we were taught to chase, and in the process we become strangers to ourselves. Nietzsche, too, understood this disconnection. He spoke of the will to power, an inner force that drives us to become more, to transcend our limitations. But in a world that demands more and more of us, this drive has become twisted. It no longer serves to elevate us but to trap us in endless cycles of comparison and competition. Nietzsche once declared that God is dead, but what he meant was far from a simple dismissal of religion. He saw that traditional values were crumbling under the weight of modernity, leaving us with a vacuum of meaning. Without a central grounding purpose, we were left chasing hollow goals, spiraling into despair, anxiety, and nihilism. This modern vacuum has been filled by something else: the need for external validation. In a society where your worth is measured by the things you acquire, the success you achieve, and the social media posts you generate, how can you ever find peace? How can you escape the rat race when the race is designed to never end? Schopenhauer, the pessimistic philosopher, took this a step further. He believed that human beings are driven by an insatiable will, an endless desire for things that once attained only reveal the emptiness beneath. The pursuit of success, love, wealth, and even fame, these things never satisfy the deeper hunger. They merely act as temporary distractions. This deep-seated dissatisfaction has only worsened in the modern age. Our desires have been shaped by the very systems that profit from our unease. Advertising, media, the economy, all of it is engineered to make us feel incomplete, to make us want more, to keep us anxious, to keep us striving for something just out of reach. Is it any wonder that we find ourselves constantly on edge, caught in the endless cycle of striving but never arriving? Modern life has placed us on a hamster wheel of perpetual dissatisfaction, but the truly frightening part is that we have become so accustomed to it, so immersed in it, that we can hardly remember what life might be like without it. We have become so entangled in the expectations of others, our families, our colleagues, the media, society at large, that we forget how to simply be, and in this forgetting, we have lost touch with the very essence of who we are. To break free from this, we must first understand the deeper forces at play, and that means confronting the systems that keep us anxious, confronting the illusions that have been created to hold us in a constant state of wanting, striving, and seeking validation. But to do that, we must first acknowledge the uncomfortable truth. Anxiety is not just a byproduct of modern life. It is the very currency on which modern life operates. It feeds the machine, it drives the economy, it fuels the endless demand for more. And so the question remains, how do you escape this cycle? How do you find peace in a world that has been built on the foundation of your unease? The answer, as we'll see, lies in understanding just how deeply the system has woven itself into your life, and how you can begin to untangle it, one thought, one belief, one habit at a time. Now take a step back. Look at the world you inhabit, the world shaped by the very forces that keep you restless. What happens when you're caught in this web of perpetual anxiety? What happens when you've been conditioned to feel that you are never enough, when every moment of peace feels like a fleeting illusion quickly consumed by the next demand? The consequences of this modern anxiety are not just emotional, they are deep, psychological, and cultural. They shape your identity, your relationships, and even your worldview. What began as a subtle underlying tension slowly takes over every facet of your life. You begin to feel disconnected from yourself, like a stranger in your own mind. It's in the way you look at your phone the moment you wake up, scrolling, swiping, checking, comparing. It's in the way your heart races when you realize you haven't achieved something others have. It's in the constant need for validation, the feeling that if you're not constantly progressing, you are somehow falling behind. But here's the hidden tragedy. This cycle is not just harming your mental health, it is literally rewiring your brain. Neuroscientists have shown that our brains are constantly shaped by the environments we immerse ourselves in. If you are always in a state of anxiety, your brain adapts to this heightened level of stress. Your fight or flight response remains activated. Your body constantly produces stress hormones, like cortisol, flooding your system. This makes it harder to think clearly. It reduces your ability to focus, to think creatively, and to make decisions that align with your true desires. Instead, you are caught in a cycle of reacting, fighting invisible battles. Your mind is no longer at peace. This is how modern society keeps you hooked, by turning your anxiety into a habit, a cycle of stress and relief, stress and relief. Every new achievement, every new like on social media, becomes a temporary salve to the deeper wound of disconnection. It offers a brief sense of accomplishment, only to leave you craving more. This is why the pursuit of happiness is never fulfilling. It becomes a game where the rules are constantly changing. You may think, I just need to work harder. I need to achieve more. But in doing so, you're only deepening the very hole you're trying to escape. The more you chase success, the more it eludes you. Because success in this world is not about fulfillment, it is about perpetuating the cycle. It's about creating an insatiable desire that keeps you running. But it doesn't stop there. There is a cultural consequence to all this anxiety as well. The more the individual is consumed by self-doubt and fear, the less capable they are of contributing to the collective good. When you are trapped in your own mind, constantly battling for validation, you can't focus on meaningful change. You are too busy just trying to survive. Nietzsche understood this dynamic well. He called it the slave morality, a condition where individuals lose their autonomy and live according to the values imposed on them by society. This mindset keeps people in a state of submission, constantly seeking approval from external sources instead of cultivating their own inner strength. Anxiety is the perfect tool for keeping this cycle in motion. As you become more anxious and disconnected, society benefits from your vulnerability. The economy thrives on your need for constant consumption. Social media flourishes by turning your anxiety into a marketable commodity. Even your health is a product, and as your anxiety grows, so does their profit. This is the most insidious consequence of modern anxiety. It's not just about individual well-being, it's about control. Your mind is being manipulated. Your emotions are being marketed. You are being conditioned to stay in a state of perpetual discontent so that you will continue to consume. But here's the cruel paradox. In a world of unprecedented wealth and technological advancements, anxiety is more pervasive than ever. We have everything we need, and yet we feel as though we are lacking. We are drowning in abundance, yet starving for meaning. The more we are fed the illusion of progress and success, the more disconnected we become from ourselves. The more we lose touch with the true nature of happiness, peace, and fulfillment. And this brings us back to the fundamental question: is this anxiety truly yours, or has it been carefully crafted and imposed upon you, bit by bit, until you no longer know who you are without it? When you begin to see the unseen consequences of this anxiety, when you realize how deeply it has shaped your mind and your life, it's almost as if a veil is lifted, but the deeper truth is still waiting. The truth about how to break free from this web, the truth that will help you reclaim what you've lost. But for now, we must first face the reality. The world we live in thrives on your unease, and if you want to escape, you must first see it clearly for what it is. Now you've seen it, the machinery behind your anxiety, the subtle, invisible forces that manipulate your mind, shaping your thoughts, your desires, and your fears. You've come face to face with the idea that the system itself is the source of your unrest. But what now? How do you escape a prison you can't see? How do you free yourself from a cycle that is so deeply woven into the fabric of society? The answer isn't easy. It's not found in simply working harder or trying to be happier. Those are distractions designed to keep you running in circles. No, the answer lies in something much deeper, a radical shift in perspective, a complete reordering of your mind. You must stop chasing what the world tells you to chase. Stop buying into the lie that you are incomplete. You are not a product to be sold. You are not a collection of achievements to be measured. You are a human being, whole, complex, and full of untapped potential. But to reclaim your true self, you must first break free from the systems that hold you. This begins with a rejection of the values imposed upon you by modern society. What if success, as defined by the world, is actually a trap? What if the pursuit of more money, more fame, more validation is what is keeping you stuck? You must ask yourself, what do I truly want? What does peace look like to me, not to others? What does it mean to live authentically in a world that constantly tells you to be something else? This is where the teachings of thinkers like Nietzsche and Sartre become crucial. Both philosophers understood that true freedom does not come from conforming to external expectations. It comes from embracing your own will to power, the ability to create meaning and purpose from within. Sartre said that existence precedes essence, meaning that you are not born with a predefined purpose. You create it, you define your life through the choices you make, and in doing so, you reclaim your agency. Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, or Overman, pushes this idea even further. He believed that you must transcend the limitations placed on you by society, religion, and culture. You must rise above the herd mentality and create your own values. This is a radical yet empowering way of seeing the world. It's about rejecting the anxiety-inducing narrative of not being enough and embracing the truth. You are enough as you are, but you must learn to live on your own terms. But how do you begin to break free? It starts with awareness. You must become aware of the mental traps that society has set for you. Notice when you feel that familiar anxiety creeping in and ask yourself, where is this coming from? Is this truly my fear, or has it been planted in me by a system that profits from my dissatisfaction? Next, you must learn to trust yourself again. Stop relying on external validation to tell you who you are. You must begin to cultivate your own sense of worth, independent of the opinions of others. This is not easy. It requires an act of courage and a deep willingness to step away from the approval of the crowd. It's about changing your relationship to success, to failure, and to time itself. Instead of constantly chasing the next goal, the next achievement, the next validation, you must learn to be present. You must accept that peace is not something you attain by doing more, but by being more, by embracing the moment without fear of judgment or expectation. Breaking free also requires you to challenge the systems around you. This means rejecting the idea that you must always be striving, always progressing, always doing. Sometimes the most radical act of rebellion is simply to be still, to stop running, to stop comparing yourself to others, and to embrace the space between doing and being. By doing so, you reclaim your inner peace, you take back your autonomy, you realize that the system has no power over you, except the power you give it. And here's the most powerful part of all. Once you break free from the cycle of anxiety and self-doubt, you will start to see the world in a completely different way. The shiny promises of success, the constant rush to be more, will lose their allure. You will begin to recognize the truth. The world may continue to offer you distractions, but you no longer need them. You will find meaning not in the chase, but in the stillness. In this stillness, you will find the space to create something new, something that is yours alone. A life that is not defined by external forces but by your own authentic vision. This is how you break free, not by running faster but by stopping, by stepping off the hamster wheel and allowing yourself to simply exist, without judgment, without pressure. In that space you will find the freedom you've been searching for. If you found this thought-provoking, or if you want to explore more, don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep questioning the world around you.